Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Let's get right back into Mass Effect Legendary Edition and talk about a potential upcoming change. On IGN, there's an interview with the project director for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Mac Walters, who says that Mass Effect 3's multiplayer could actually return and that it depends on the sales for this game. Specifically, he says, we want to see what kind of reception the Legendary Edition gets and what the demand for multiplayer is. I think the demand question is pretty easily answered. I mean, I'm a guy personally who does not play multiplayer games, so I only played multiplayer in Halo 1, never played multiplayer in any of the other games. I've never bought Call of Duty. All right, but there are two games whose multiplayer I would consistently play. Love playing Borderlands when I was with a bunch of friends, and even by myself, Mass Effect 3's multiplayer was just off the chain. It was absolutely amazing, completely well done, balanced classes, and a blast to get into. You could just play it for 15 minutes if you had a little bit of time and then move on about your day, and it was still great. Still great. So I know that there's definitely a lot of people who would love to see Mass Effect 3's multiplayer return. And so the question becomes, are the sales good enough to justify them putting in the effort to include Mass Effect 3's multiplayer? And when I look at the data, it seems to me that it's definitely on the way if it's not already there. First and foremost, it's overtaken Resident Evil as the top dog in UK sales. Now, my understanding is the actual numbers for those physical sales is not impressive, but it still shows how much excitement there is for the game. Much more impressive is that it's the number one selling game on Steam right now, which is not easy at all to do. And again, it's overtaken Resident Evil. I've never played a Resident Evil game. I don't know if the hype for this recent game equals the hype for the Resident Evil games that have come before. But it seems like every freaking game channel that I look at is either playing that game, making videos about it, or talking about it in some sort of way. So I've got to assume that the hype for it has been massive. So for Legendary Edition to just come in and overtake it, I think it probably says something. Probably makes it clear that this game, at least from a digital standpoint, is doing very, very well. And maybe sometime this year, we're going to be able to get that multiplayer component for the game. In case you are wondering, what kind of challenges would BioWare face trying to incorporate Mass Effect 3 multiplayer into the game? Mike Walters does dive into that a little bit in the article. It obviously had a lot of challenges. Everything from what you do with crossplay, because that's kind of an expectation now, what you do with people who are still playing multiplayer now, how do you honor that? How do you bring them in? Can we somehow bridge that gap? And of course, these aren't insurmountable challenges. There are things that we can do to fix that problem and get multiplayer in there. But when you look at the amount of effort that it was going to take to do that, it was easily commensurate, if not greater, than uplifting all of Mass Effect 1. And I think our focus, thankfully, was on the single player experience. Those last few words, music to my ears. This is what more of the companies associated with BioWare need to get back into. The main focus should be on the single player experience. And this is part of also the reason why I'm so glad that not only Legendary Edition is doing well, but also that Star Wars Fallen Order did so well, because I think the numbers are finally showing EA that there is a real market for these type of games, and they do not have to shoehorn multiplayer into everything in order to make it successful. But in this case, I'm absolutely okay with the additional effort to include multiplayer. Honestly, I'm after Mass Effect 3, I look at the Mass Effect series as something that should have multiplayer. It was fantastic. It was fantastic and distinctive from the other multiplayer modes that are available. So I don't see this as EA looking for that opportunity to be able to scam a bunch of their fans and create a multiplayer or games as a service mode that's just going to piss off a bunch of people. Like, no, this actually makes quite a bit of sense as opposed to multiplayer in Dragon Age, which was just absolutely complete garbage. Anyway, thought a lot of you would find this interesting. If you did, please go ahead and leave me a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let me know if they added multiplayer into the game. Would that be something that would interest you? Would you want to go ahead and play it and get back into it? Or are you not interested at all and you'll wait to see what multiplayer is like in Mass Effect 4? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.